Hey, this is Pastor Matt here at Fellowship Baptist Church. I want to offer you some help today as you consider what to study in your family devotions, or if you're a teenager thinking about what to study in the Bible, I want to offer you some help. Now, last night at Youth Night, I preached a message on Esther chapters 4 and 5. And what we find here in the story of Esther, she was a young Jewish woman. She was a captive in the nation of Persia. And over time, through a series of events, she became the queen of Persia. And during her time as queen, her uncle Mordecai had offended one of the king's top advisors, the right-hand man named Haman. And Haman devised a plan that he would exterminate or kill the Jews. And so Mordecai had sent a request to Esther to plead, or for her to plead on behalf of her people to the king. But Esther knew that if she did that, it's very possible that she could be executed. It was a law at the time that someone could not come before the king unless they were announced or requested to come. And so Esther, knowing going before the king without the request could mean her death. And in this story, we find some amazing things. And if you've never read the story of Esther, I greatly encourage you to. It's awesome. But what we find are things that range from Esther embracing her womanhood and embracing her beauty, living out who God created her to be, not being something that she isn't. It's amazing. We also find her having the courage to live for God in a culture, a nation that was hostile to God. And there's one verse I want to read to you. Again, amazing story. It says, and it's verse, again, 4:14, "For if you remain silent at this time, relief and deliverance will arise for the Jews from another place, and you and your father's house will perish. And who knows whether or not you have attained royalty for such a time as this." Again, powerful verse. What we find in this is request, or this verse is from Mordecai to Esther, a letter. And Mordecai is demonstrating amazing faith because he trusts that God will preserve his people. Even if Esther would fail or not do this, he believes that God, would fulfill the promise made to Abraham, that they would be a great nation, their descendants as many as the stars, and also that the Messiah would come through them, through the nation or the Jewish people. And again, he didn't believe in any way that God would allow them all to be killed, that God would end his promise. And so again, we see Mordecai's amazing faith there. But this challenge to Esther is very powerful. We see the phrase here, "For if you remain silent at this time." So Mordecai's helping Esther to understand that if you don't do this, God will provide some other way to preserve us, to fulfill his promise. But you will have missed the chance to live for God. You'll miss the opportunity to live out your faith. And even more, he says, and that doesn't mean that you'll be protected. Your position won't protect you, that you may still die along with the others. Again, it's such a powerful challenge, but not so much a rebuke or in any way, but a pushing and encouraging for Esther to live for God. And then we see this last phrase here at the very end. It says, "For such a time as this." And when we think about this in our day today, you need to know this is our time. This is your time. God has put you wherever you are, in your place, in your home. He's put you at your school. He's put you on that team. He's put you at your job, around that group of friends. God has put you in that place so that you can show others who Christ is, so that you can share Christ's love with them, so that you can be an example of Christ to them. And that's an amazing thought. And I would encourage you, never be ashamed of Christ. Don't be ashamed of your faith in him. What that means in today's culture is that we won't be able to affirm or agree with every decision our friends make. There are some decisions that are made in the pursuit of sin. We don't have to agree or affirm those things. It doesn't mean that we're unkind. It doesn't mean that we don't demonstrate love. But we don't have to agree with everything. It's okay. And just as Esther did in her time, in her culture, we can stand for Christ in ours and stand for what is true. And I will encourage you this day, don't miss the chance. Don't miss the opportunity to live for Christ. Is it going to be easy? No, it's never easy living for Christ in a culture that's hostile to God. But will it be worth it? Yes, always it is worth it. I hope this is encouragement for you today. Have an awesome day. Thank you.